You wouldn't believe how long it takes me to try and set the camera up to get like a nice angle. I always have to clean my glasses as well, otherwise I can't really see you properly and you can't see me. It feels like a little while since I recorded. It feels like longer than it has been. I had a look and my last video went up just over 2 weeks ago. But like the footage was from kind of like the week before, so it's more like 3 weeks ago in terms of what you saw and where we are today. It is the 2nd, I think, of August, and yeah, I don't know, I feel like it's been a bit of a challenging few weeks for my head, I guess. I just sort of seem to be struggling with the motivation to keep going. I think because it feels like I'm playing the long game right now, especially with sort of trying to like build my like online audience. You know, it's sort of putting a lot of work into things, and I suppose it sort of sometimes feels like you're kind of just like chatting to no one, which sounds really sad, and I also really don't want to sound like ungrateful for the people who have been watching my videos, liking, subscribing, leaving me comments, because like every single thing like that like means the world to me. But I suppose from a business point of view, like it just needs to be more. And I suppose it also needs to translate to sales. But yeah, as I say, like this is a long game. Like it's not just all just going to happen overnight. So yeah, I think it's just sort of that's kind of taking its toll, and also this kind of anticipation of like what's to come in the next couple of months, like, and not really knowing, you know, which of these markets that I'm going to go to, like how are they going to go, am I going to have got the audience right and, you know, the product offering right. So yeah, I suppose that's just the reality right now, is that I'm just kind of feeling quite low and quite sort of stressed about a lot of things. But anyway, let's not make this a sad mopey video. I have been doing some work the last couple of weeks. I'm gonna sneeze. It's not happening. Yeah, the last 2 weeks they have been shorter weeks because I've been gardening, so I've been working the Thursday and the Friday. Yeah, in the garden that I work in. So they've not been sort of long working weeks for me, and also I've been trying to prioritise like having actual weekends and actually seeing people and trying to socialise, because I think I've just underestimated how much I need those things in order to then have the energy to then do the other stuff. But yeah, I've been filming some stuff for you, so I think this video is going to be a bit more of a kind of chatty with like interspersed with little clips of footage that I've taken. I can't really remember what I've recorded, so we'll just muddle through this together if that's alright. I'm very excited to be coming to you from my new nook, as I'm calling it. I decided at the weekend to, like, one of the issues that I was finding is that, like, I wasn't, like, coming in to the wool room. So this is just one of our spare bedroom in our house, converted into the wool studio, and I was finding that I just didn't really want to come into the space. I've done a lot of work to, like, reorganise the shelves and have a better system, so that it kind of doesn't just feel like chaos central in here. And I'm really happy, especially with I'm going to talk to you about paper bags. Some exciting content. But I'll show you what I changed, and it's making me very happy. But one of the things was I didn't really have, like, a comfy space in here to kind of just come and be, and, like, whether I'm sat with my notebook or on the computer, or just wanted to sit and knit or think. Like, I just found, because I just had, like, an uncomfortable, like, wooden fold out chair that I was using to work and sort of sit and spin, or I would just sit on the floor, which obviously isn't, like, the nicest thing. So yeah, I decided that I wanted to try putting, like, a proper, like, armchair in here. So this chair has come out of my partner's studio workroom, which is next door, because he wasn't using it. So I've squeezed it in, and yeah, it's really nice to kind of just have a bit of comfort. So yeah, the idea was that I wanted to kind of, rather than putting the focus on every day I need to do this, this and this, it was more about every day I just need to be in here, and, like, trying to remove that kind of productivity grossness, and be more excited just to be in the space. And some days it might be that I do very little, like, work, but maybe I'm reorganizing something, or, like, cleaning, or just kind of sitting with my stuff to then find inspiration. It might be that I then kind of see a bit of fibre and kind of go, oh yeah, I was gonna try spinning it this way. So yeah, that's the theory. We're only on day 3, so I can't give you a full feedback on that. So far, so good. So yeah, this is my new little spot. So I left you on a bit of a cliffhanger in my last video. I was trying to warp up the small rigid heddle loom, so that I could do some sample weaves, and we had a bit of a falling out. I don't think I explained what was actually happening, because I didn't understand why it was happening, but I think now I do. But yeah, basically I'd got it to the stage where I was winding the warp back onto the back beam, and when I was trying to then tie it onto the front beam, and you sort of tying these knots and sort of trying to, like, squeeze out as much tension as possible in the warp, and I realised that every time I gave it another, like, tug to remove the tension, it just felt like more tension was being released. And I was kind of looking at what was happening on the back beam, and it was just like, it just felt like it wasn't being held under any tension at all. And yeah, I mean, I just I just lost the will to live at that point. I just had to walk away, and just, yeah, that's where I went and hid in the coffee shop. So yeah, since then I've had another go at fixing it. One reason that I thought I might have been suffering was I did a slightly unconventional way of, like, tensioning the warp as I was winding it onto the back beam. Again, you might have noticed my slightly, weird methods in the last video. And And I thought, well, maybe what's happening is that I'm not holding enough tension on the warp as I'm winding it, and therefore, you know, when I then try and pull the tension through, any excess in this winding bit is then coming out. So I asked my partner very nicely if he would help me to basically take off the, like unwind it from the back beam, and I got him to like hold a stick in the middle of the warp so that we could pull it out. So it was still attached to the front, still attached to the back, but he then effectively walked 2 and a bit meters away from me, holding it under tension, allowing me to then rewind it onto the back beam. So I thought that that might have been alright. And then I then, you know, had it all onto the back, tried to again then put tension through it, and it was still sliding. And I was ready to throw the loom out the window. But I've had some more time to think about it, and I think what might be happening is this loom that I bought secondhand is a bit of a DIY job. Like there's no brand on it. It's kind of, it very much looks like it's kind of just been made in the woodshed kind of thing. Which I didn't, you know, I thought this doesn't really matter. Like I'm effectively managing to spend, I don't know, half the amount of money buying this one secondhand than buying, I suppose, new. But one thing that it's different on this is that on the on both the front and the back beam there is no ratchet system. So in order to turn the beams and then hold the beams, all you're doing is loosening and tightening like a wing nut. So what I'm doing when I'm like winding onto the back beam is I've loosened the wing nut, and then the back beam is free to move, and then there is no external handles outside of the back beam, like on the sides of the like the frame of the loom. So I'm having to manhandle the beam itself in order to like turn it like this. And the method that I'm using to keep the warp layers apart is I'm rolling a piece of paper, like sort of, you know, like craft paper, through with it. But that's wider than, like that takes up the full length, the full width of the back beam. So I'm like, when I'm kind of doing this twisting action, trying to get it onto the back, like I'm manhandling this paper a lot, and even though I'm trying to like put it smoothly in for this, you know, for the next turn, I'm just very suspicious that basically it's like, I don't know how to explain this apart from like what happens like sometimes when you use a sewing machine, and the fact that the two layers of fabric can move at different rates. It feels a little bit like that's what's happening on my back beam right now, where it's like the paper and the actual warp aren't going in at the same rate, and like, I don't know, like it's just not under enough tension, I think, because there's no ratchet system. So it's like, I don't know, it's just a bit of a mess. So so what am I gonna do about it? Well, I was thinking like, why has this not been an issue before? And I think it's because I've never had a warp on it that's this long. I can't remember what I did around Christmas, because not Christmas, in February, March time, I did do a fairly large batch of like table runners, but that may have only been like 2 meters, I'm not too sure. Whereas this was like a 4.5 meter warp, so yeah, much longer. So I think what I'm going to try and do, just so that I don't literally fall out with this thing, is I'm tempted to maybe just shorten the warp, or maybe just put on a new warp, I'm not too sure. But just go much shorter, and see whether I can manage the problem, but also play with my paper method, because I don't think that's working for me, and I'm a bit like, do I even need the paper? So those who are more experienced at weaving, please feel free to comment whatever it is that you're currently shouting at me that I need to do. I'm more than welcome to receive feedback on this. The other thing that I'm very tempted to do is to take that warp off, because that's like a fairly expensive warp in some regards. Or for me, it's probably only like a £5, but to me that's quite precious right now. Take that off and put it onto the, I call it like the big boy loom, the like proper 4-shaft table loom, because at this point it just feels like all of this effort that I've wasted on the little rigid heddle, I would rather have just had it done on the big boy, because I just feel like managing the tension is so much easier. Like, it's just, everything's easier on that loom, even though it's slightly more involved. It just feels proper, whereas the rigid heddle doesn't feel proper. It just feels annoying. So yeah, I'm not quite sure yet what I'm going to do, but I need to do something, because we're just at a stalemate right now. Now for the exciting topic of paper bags. I think I mentioned this in maybe some of the previous videos, I'm not sure. But basically I wanted to change how I was storing my both my raw fleeces, you know, straight from the farm, and also my washed wool, because the system wasn't really working, and I kind of wanted to do a better at like looking after the fibres. So far everything had just been kind of like stuffed in more like feed bags, compost bags, you know, like big plastic sacks, or bin bags, or charity bags, and then that's just been stuffed in the shed. But I've been a bit nervous about how hot the shed is getting in the summer, not right now, but in previous weeks, and I kind of was reading about, you know, effectively those bags, if they're plastic, and especially if you've tied the drop, like effectively they're just cooking, like it's sort of, and you can feel it, like it gets really hot in there, and you're in danger of, because it's like an organic material inside there, you can effectively start to like decompose the fibres, especially if you've left any kind of like poo, or there's like a lot of veg matter or whatever, like that stuff can just start to break down, and maybe even like the fibres themselves, potentially that kind of like, I've heard people talk about sweating and stuff like that. So it's not recommended basically to store your raw wool in plastic. You want it to be in breathable things. So I obviously didn't want to spend a lot of money. I was kind of looking and sort of buying like big potato sacks can cost you like £2 a bag, which, you know, when you're kind of storing upwards of, you know, 20 or 30 fleeces, like that's quite a lot just on bags. So I asked at my local refill shop, which is Refill Shop and Greengrocers, if they had like empty potato sacks or whatever, and they like very kindly gave me, I think I picked up like 8 different bags from them the other week, and yeah, they're huge, like they're perfect, and they're not even that dirty either. Like I had ones that had stored like lentils and quinoa and stuff, so that's worked really well, and so I've been trying to move some of the fleeces into those bags, but it's been so wet that they haven't really been the right kind of days for like getting fleeces out in the garden. So anyway, the other type of bag was, I wanted then clean paper bags for storing washed wool. I kind of didn't really want to kind of buy lots of plastic bags or plastic boxes for the house, just because I try and avoid plastic, and at least if I can like do like a roll top on the paper bags, then I'm confident that the moths aren't going to get into that. So I managed to find some bags on Facebook Marketplace. So it was somebody having like a clear out of like an old office or something. So I got, I think, like 100 paper bags from them for not much money. And I also realised they could double up as like mailing bags, like parcel bags as well, so that's good. So yeah, I've got those, and I've started to sort out some of my washed wool into those. I'll show you. Oh, it looks beautiful. So I'm pretty happy with that system. I feel like it kind of, yeah, ticks a lot of boxes. The only thing is that I can't like see the fibre, so like at some point I might like forget what it is. So I know like some people might then like, you know, put a little sample and stick that to the outside of the bag so that you can kind of go, oh yeah, that was the white one or whatever. So we'll see if that becomes an issue. But yeah, very happy with my paper bags. Speaking of raw wool, I have been and collected six fleeces from 2 different places in the last few weeks. So one of them is a farm that I've been to a few times now, as we've kind of waiting for shearing to be done, and got more of their Jacobs, which is, yeah, a beautiful okay, windows closed. I've also been slightly self-conscious that my neighbours have been in the garden and they might hear me. Yeah, so I've got 2 more fleeces of Jacobs from this farm. It's, yeah, they have lovely Jacobs. I've got quite a lot now of these fleeces. So I think I might, well, no, I mean it was kind of deliberate, you know, to sort of specialise a little bit in playing with Jacobs. I feel like it's sort of become one of my sort of niches. So yeah, I'm hoping to get a lot more of that washed and spun and have it available in the coming weeks. So excited about that. The other fibre that I got, I met a lady at the Buxton Wool Gathering in May. She was one of the other stall holders, and I think it was actually her friend came over and was looking at my stall, looking at the different fibres I had, and she sort of went, "You don't have any Rylands, I've noticed." And I was like, "No, because I don't think I like Ryland." And she was aghast. Turns out her and this other lady, they're part of the Ryland breeds. I'll find out what it's called. But yeah, they're kind of, they celebrate the breed of Rylands. And yeah, I said to them, I was just like, I've had a bit of a Ryland fleece and I didn't like it. Like, it was very short staple, very clumpy, and it just, well, I mean, it was, to me, really, really short to spin with. And they were kind of frowning and were like, that doesn't really sound like Ryland. Come and have a look at our stuff. So I went, it was like 2 doors down to their stall, and had a look at their products. You know, they had sort of fleeces in various different states, including like a living rug, like a vegetarian rug. And I was like feeling the fibre, feeling the staple. I was like, oh my god, this is beautiful. This is not what I'd played with. So yeah, we agreed that I needed to play with some of their Rylands so that I had a good example of a Ryland fleece. So yeah, I got a message a few weeks ago saying that they'd done shearing. Did I want to come and have a look? So I went last week, I think, and went and, oh, I love fleece shopping. Like, it's so much fun. Exhausting. I basically had to have a nap after that. But yeah, Vicky was amazing. She had all of the fleeces ready to be inspected. they all had names on them. She'd made notes at the time of shearing, so she could kind of tell me roughly, you know, these ones, you know, had a longer staple, or this one had, you know, was partly felted. So we were kind of able to sort of, you know, we didn't have to get every single fleece out, but we did get most of them out. But yeah, I fell in love with, well, yeah, with most of them. But I picked out 3 Ryland fleeces. So I think 2 of them were shearlings. And they were different shades, like all 3 of them are different shades. And this is, you know, and there's one of these magic breeds, maybe it's not that magic, whatever. You know, where you can kind of get really, really dark chocolates, but they also, well, they can also be white, but none of hers are white. They're more kind of creamy, like creamy porridge. I don't know, it's delightful. So I chose 3 different fleeces that kind of gave me a broad colour range, and also within one fleece you end up with like a lot of different colour changes throughout as well, which is just, yeah, my favourite. But yeah, I mean, the fleece was so soft, the staple was proper, like not all of them were, and it was kind of interesting seeing, you know, the different fleeces, and some of them were much shorter staple, you know, and she was telling me about, you know, a particular sheep, you know, that had a tricky pregnancy, and therefore, you know, her fleece just wasn't as good. So it's always interesting to kind of learn more about how this wool fibre, you know, it's been grown, you know, and sort of the different things that affect it. One of the things that was like just so cool about Rylands compared to any other fleece I'd seen so far is like, I'll put a picture up like so you can see what they look like, what the fleece looks like on the sheep. But yeah, they kind of, their wool goes like all the way up their neck and like round their faces, like more so than like most breeds. And what the shearer has done, at least on one, is like really obvious. Like where they've then travelled up the neck and around the head, like it's come off almost like a whole circular ruff, like as one piece. And then there's like this flappy bit that's like the top of its head, and you can almost like see where its eyes would then just be like boop underneath. I just thought like it's just, oh, amazing. So I'm going to leave that bit fairly intact and sort of come up with some cool way of like honouring that, or like showcasing it. I don't know, it was so cool. So yeah, so I have so far had one of the fleeces out at home, and picked out, well, I skirted it and then kind of looked at sort of trying to understand the different bits of fibre throughout, and sort of chose 2, 3-ish like different types of fibre. So I've kind of gone for the bit right round the back, round the bum, kind of going round the kind of, they called the haunches, like back hip basically, where it's really quite coarse and wiry, but from a like spinning to weave point of view, like there's a lot of like really high contrast colours in the fibres, and I just think the texture, like I just think it'd be really cool. So I've pulled that out as a clump, and then I've kind of like walked like up the back of the sheep, and grabbed then kind of like I suppose like a really good demonstration bit of the fibre, so kind of, well, you'll see, just a really nice area, and then also kind of picked out a clump on the back, so kind of like along the spine, because that bit can be a bit more challenging to work with. It can often be a bit shorter, it sort of gets the brunt of the weather, like it kind of is very weather beaten, I think, and can be a bit more kind of, yeah, clumped together. But but I still think there's some potential there. So I've pulled out a handful of that to just wash it so that I can play with it. So yeah, but I've only got as far as getting those clumps out. I haven't washed them yet. So I'm hoping to get them washed this week and then show you what it's like to work with Ryland.
If you are leaving the tray here, mind the gap between the tray and platform edge.
So one thing that I sort of was telling you that I wanted to do, I think, I don't know, in one of the previous videos, I talked about wanting to kind of have some time to like sit down and reflect on my business and like, you know, what actually, like what's the point, like what's the why behind it, and kind of hoping that that would sort of both give me a really clear like direction, like a really clear North Star and like motivation, but also kind of try and put up some like I'm imagining like the gutters at a bowling alley, like giving myself some like boundaries to operate within so that I don't get distracted or sidetracked with other stuff. So I took some time 2 weeks ago, and I went into Manchester, which is my nearest city, and it was a bit twofold. Like I was catching up with a friend, but I also thought before I do that, I'll go to, you know, a nice coffee shop and just sit with a notepad and just have some time out of, you know, the normal environment, to sort of reflect and ask myself some questions. So I thought, like, I don't feel ready to like share the answers to my questions because it feels a little bit like a seed that's just germinated and it's only got like 2 leaves and it's really delicate and it's not quite ready to like be shared with the world yet. And yeah, I still just feel a little bit vulnerable about it all. But I thought that you might find it interesting if I like told you what some of the questions were that I like, the prompts effectively, of kind of, yeah, the prompts for my session. So I'd like pulled from a few different resources at first and kind of just wrote like a dozen questions. But this is kind of what I ended up then actually sort of vibing with, I suppose. The first one was kind of thinking about the context, the background. It's like, what is the actual landscape of the world that I live in right now? And kind of, I suppose, identifying problems and opportunities. So it was like kind of, you know, I'll kind of give the example of like, okay, we have a lot of wool in this country, but we don't use our wool. Like a lot of our fleeces are just completely going to waste, and we are importing a lot of wool. So it's kind of, yeah, I'll stop there. But yeah, it's kind of going, okay, what's happening, and like, yeah, what are the problems? What could I do about it? So I found that very helpful to kind of just poke into lots of different bits because there's a lot that feeds into it. I think the next thing that I then went into was kind of, yeah, effectively like, how could I solve that problem? So it's sort of, you know, very much blank page thinking, like, what are all of the different ways that I could solve this problem, so that you can kind of then critique those options and maybe remind yourself of things that you've thought of before but then you've kind of forgotten about, or like you'd discounted for a different reason, but maybe something's changed and therefore it's valid to like think about that again. So yeah, I kind of played with that. And then the final part that I think I found the most helpful was kind of then asking myself to like review the competitors out there. So this is kind of, you know, from the different ways that I could solve this problem, like who's already solving that problem and how are they doing it, and like what is it that I like, what can I learn from them, what do I think they're doing well, and maybe like what are the missed opportunities in what I kind of can see from what they're doing. Obviously you're a little bit limited, you're just making a lot of assumptions because people don't like share like how it's going and numbers and stuff, you know, but it's sort of, I do think you get a sense of like who is being successful at certain things, just from things, you know, selling out or kind of like their, you know, their audience size, or, but yeah, it can be dangerous, so it's taking those things with a pinch of salt. But yeah, I feel like they're the kind of the three biggies, the big things that I kind of reflected on. And as I say, maybe I'll feel a bit more confident to kind of share my answers, reflections on those. I thought you might then want to know, like, did I think the exercise has worked? Like, has it helped in the way that I wanted it to? And right now I feel like my answer is I don't know, but I think the problem is that the timing of it has just been a bit off, like, because my head's just been a little bit funny the last few weeks. Like, even if I came up with like the perfect, oh my god, this is my why and this is how I'm gonna do it, like, I've just not really been in the right headspace to then be like, great, let's go do it. Like, I've just been distracted and unmotivated and stuff like that. So yeah, I think I'm probably gonna have to like revisit this again, hopefully in a few weeks, when maybe I'm just feeling a little bit more myself and a little bit more like forward thinking and positive. Yeah. So finally, I thought I would just touch on what the plan for the week is. We're currently on Wednesday. So yeah, I'm not gardening this week, so I've got another 2 days. And I think the main thing really this week is that I'm trying to just be very gentle with myself. I'm trying to not kind of pile on a big kind of list of things that I want to achieve. I've managed to like wash some skeins of yarn. Like, they've been sat there for a few weeks, just needing washing. So I've finally like done things like that. I'm trying to just be, again, playful and explorative with my spinning and not kind of, yeah, feel too bogged down with it. I'll try and sort the loom out, but no promises. And one exciting thing this week is I finally bit the bullet and bought a drum carder. It's like, actually I'm spending more money on the drum carder than I have on the spinning wheel or any of the looms. So yeah, it's the biggest investment I've made so far, like single investment. Oh, that's terrifying. But yeah, the reason I wanted to get a drum carder is that I am struggling with my hand carders. I am very limited to how much time I can spend doing that action. I'm trying to be good with it. I'm trying to, you know, have a good posture, trying to, you know, use my back muscles and not kind of whatever. But it is, there are days where it's painful. I think the problem is that I'm just very hard on my hands and my wrists and my arms. Like, everything I do uses them. So anything that I can do to change, yeah, my workflow to be more ergonomic is great. I suppose the other like business incentive is that there's been times at the like wool shows where I think people are drawn to the fibres, but they're reluctant to buy unprocessed fibres. Like, not everybody's got carders or combs or whatever at home. You know, they're investments. So I think, yeah, kind of got the impression that there is a desire to buy prepared fibre, not just washed fibre. So I would like to add that to my offering, to have carded bats basically to go along with it, and also to pair that up then with the drop spindles that I've got, so that I can put together a kit basically, so that, yeah, when people are kind of like, oh, I want to give this a go, I can just give them everything and they don't have to worry then about what do I do with this handful of fleece. I do think, well, depending on the fibre, I do think it can be easier to work from a carded bit of fluff rather than the raw fluff. So yeah, it's been dispatched this morning. I'm not sure if it's coming tomorrow, but I'm very excited. New toy is always a great day, isn't it? So maybe that'll give me a bit of a boost. And then yeah, I just really wanted to film. I wanted to update you all. I've already broken my promise on having weekly videos, but I'm sure you'll understand. I've also like fallen off the cliff with Instagram. I like did 4 posts in 4 consecutive days and then just stopped for 10 days. So yeah, or more than 10 days. So I don't know, I think I'm gonna have to try scheduling, or at least like preparing posts and then having them in drafts and then sharing them on different days, because I'm really struggling when I don't feel like it. I'm really struggling to do things like Instagram, and I know that that's not the game Instagram likes to play. Yeah. So if anyone like has got any tips about how they like cope and manage with this stuff, or whether you just gotta get used to it and you just gotta at some point just, I don't know, I hate to be like suck it up, because genuinely I've had a really shit like period with my mental health, and so like I don't think that that's very kind on myself to be like just suck it up and post. Like that just feels really, really wrong. And also I'm always torn about being like, I don't want to be disingenuous. Like it feels weird to post something on Instagram with a kind of an energy that I'm not feeling that day. Like, but maybe I'm just overthinking it, and that's just not how it works. Oh god, the challenges, hey, of starting your own business. So yeah, thank you for spending time with me today. I'm sorry that it's kind of not the kind of, I don't know, I was really proud of my last video, and I feel like this one's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be different. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of just make something, just get a video out there, and then kind of start afresh, you know, with then filming what I'm up to in the next week or so. So yes, thank you for joining me. It means the world to me, as I said at the beginning, when you interact with my videos, and I'd love it if we could kind of get this to more people. So, you know, back to the algorithms and stuff, you know, every like, every share, like, is just, yeah, tells YouTube that you enjoyed this content and other people may enjoy this content. So yes, anything you can do with that is amazing. And did I say at the start that I was going to do a giveaway? Oh my god, I can't even remember what happened half an hour ago. I hit 500 followers on Instagram, and I'm really proud, and I really like feel honoured that 500 people are kind of choosing to like, yeah, see my content. So as a thank you, I think I'm gonna run a giveaway over on Instagram. So if you're not already following me over there, then I would encourage you to do so, or at least just go and check out the post. Oh no, I'm probably gonna be like, you must follow me in order to do this. Okay, right. Oh god. I think it might be time for some tea or some coffee. Right. Thanks again, take care, and hopefully I'll see you very soon. Bye.